Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Prabhupada ki. So yes, in earlier this afternoon we talked about balancing Krishna consciousness, how to be spiritual even amidst the chaos of the world, and how it's possible, how we actually have to become more absorbed in Krishna, and how Krishna has to become very much present within our consciousness. And then no matter how many obstacles, difficulties there are, still Krishna will never disappear from our life. So I saw that there were many hands. So would anyone like to begin? Yes, Mataji, first.
It's so surreal because having listened to your lectures online, seeing you personally gives me immense joy, and I think it's my good fortune. So, having listened to a lot of your earlier years, Maharaj, you growing up and you attending College London, and my son and I were listening to your interview, and he asked me a very pertinent question that I couldn't answer. I'm going to definitely be honest here. Um, so, when you had mentioned to your parents that I'm going from the regular mainstream, going into spiritual development and Krishna consciousness, he asked me, Mom, if I take the decision, what would you do? I didn't have an answer. And then I did not have that answer. And as a parent, I struggle. I have two boys. I struggle every day, Maharaj, to see if I'm being a good parent, a good mother. And I just hope and pray every day that they become Krishna conscious and they take that as a way of their life. And then he also had a question. I don't know if he's going to muster courage to ask in front of you, but any your wisdom, Maharaj.
Please, can your son make himself known to us? We're eager to know who wants to take sannyas. No, I'm only joking. It's okay. No pressure. No pressure. Mothers and fathers naturally have attachment for their children. Even Lord Chaitanya, his mother, Sachi Mata, when Lord Chaitanya was taking up renunciation, it was very difficult for her. Very difficult. Once we met a sannyasi who was in South America, and you know how many siblings he had? 20 siblings. And when he took sannyas, his mother cried and cried and cried. Like, you have 20 brothers and sisters. One becomes a sannyasi, it's good. Even then, because naturally, mother and father have so much affection, so much love. It's not that you don't believe in Krishna consciousness, but naturally you want to see which mother doesn't want to see their son married. Uh, naturally. Yet one great art in life is to be able to see the potential within someone and let them follow their dharma, follow their calling. Once there was a husband and a wife and they were arguing. Doctor, she said, lawyer, doctor, lawyer, doctor, lawyer. And the argument became so heated, they went to the court. And there the judge was listening to them. And the mother said, I want him to be a doctor. He said, no, I want him to be a lawyer. I want him to be a doctor. And then the judge looked at them and said, why don't you just ask him? And they both looked at the judge like he was mad, and they said, but he's not even born yet. So it's very interesting. What we often do with our children is that we project our desires, our vision, our aspirations, and then we try to live our life through them. It's all done in a good spirit. However, the greatest leaders, the greatest parents, see the potentiality within their children and then encourage that. Every child, every individual, every soul is amazing. And every soul will do amazing things in their own ways as long as you allow them to express themselves and find themselves. So, yes, in our life, we sometimes have to make hard decisions because there is a calling within our heart, and then there are people you want to please. And sometimes they don't always match. And then what do? Somehow you have to navigate that situation. So, what can I say? I had to make that decision, and it wasn't an easy decision. Of course, my mom and dad are very happy now. They lived happily ever after. But in those moments, it was not easy. So one thing I want to share with all of you, especially the young people as well, who have to make so many decisions. Krishna consciousness means you have to be brave. Krishna consciousness means you have to be sometimes ready to take a risk. Krishna consciousness means sometimes you'll have to come out of your comfort zone. Because if you try to always make easy decisions in life, you may find those are not the decisions which bring you to your full potential. But yes. So I don't know if I'm addressing your points. I'm just sharing with you some of my thoughts on my journey. Yes. Yes, Bruce.
Thank you, Maharaj. So, I wrote down my question. Many of us feel the need to understand something before we can accept it or comfortable with it. For example, when I'm at the dentist, tells me step by step, I'm going to drill your toothpaste and I'm going to give you an injection. And when I know, it's not that I like it, but I'm like, okay, I can see it's coming and I can accept it. But it's not always clear what Krishna's plan is for us. Like events happen to us. And especially when those events are things that surprise us or don't want happening to us. How do we come to terms with those events and accept them not just peacefully, happily, as Krishna's plan for us and
When you go to a doctor, the reason that you want to know everything that they're doing step by step is because you don't have a personal relationship with that doctor. What happens is that when we get to know someone more and more personally, more and more intimately, when we actually develop an affection for someone, then eventually what happens is you develop so much trust and faith in their character and who they are that you don't need to ask them. Because what will happen is you'll know this person has no other agenda than doing the best for me. When a parent tells a child, oftentimes the child just goes with it because the child knows intuitively that my parents are looking after me. I don't need to ask them about every single thing. Of course, sometimes kids do want to know. But a lot of the time in their heart, they know that whatever my parents tell me is the right thing because they've always been looking after me. So the real thing is not that we need to figure out what Krishna is doing at every step. The real thing is that we want to learn to develop that natural love and faith and trust in Krishna. Therefore, Krishna sometimes makes things unintelligible to us because Krishna wants us to forge a deeper relationship with Him. Once you have that relationship, then even in the most bewildering times, the devotee will never feel, uh, they will always know, yes, there must be some reason why he's done it like this. So therefore, even Bhishma Dev, when he saw the Pandavas after the battle of Kurukshetra, then he said, Nahyasya karhijit papan puman veda viditsitam yad vijigyasaya yukta muyanti kavayo pihi. Even if you're a kavi, a philosopher, muyanti, you'll be completely bewildered if you try to understand the plan of Krishna. Nobody can understand the plan of Krishna. And even if Krishna made his plan known to you, that wouldn't help you to develop love for Krishna. Some people know about God, but we're not trying to just know about God, we're trying to love God. And therefore, even when Krishna does things which are unintelligible to us, we can understand is part of a master plan to bring out love within our heart. So sometimes Krishna will make it known, sometimes he won't make it known, sometimes he'll make it known, but only after. All of it is part of his plan. Because he doesn't want us to just have faith in his plans, but he wants us to have faith in him, love for him. Does that make sense? Thank you.
So I consider myself sort of beginner Krishna consciousness. I don't know much, but whatever I do know, I would like to be able to share it with others who are not devotees. And there's like a kind of negative connotation with religion. So I guess, and I'm certainly not good at book distribution. So what's the best way for someone like me to kind of be able to share Krishna consciousness with others?
Once one of our devotees, he was going through customs. And, normally when you go through customs, I don't know, in America, it's the green channel, right? Where you have nothing to declare. So we just walked through that channel, right? Nothing to declare. So he walked through there and immediately 4 guys came out with machine guns. They pulled him to one side. Open up your bag. So he opened up his bag. This is the only dhotis in there. He said, I goes, why you only got curtains in here? But this is what I wear. Anyway, they said, okay, close it up. When they closed it up, he said, by the way, why did you stop me? All these people are here. They said, we've been watching you on the camera since you come off the plane. You're too happy. We thought you must be on some drugs or something. So the reason I'm saying this, Prabhupada, once he said to Hari Sauri Prabhu, he said, preaching is easy business. Just show people how happy you are. If you're happy, and you know it. I just heard something. If you're happy, then what will happen is that naturally people will warm to you. Naturally people will open up to you. Naturally people will, because everyone wants to be with a happy person. Everyone wants a piece of that happiness. Saint Francis of Assisi, he said, I preach every day. I preach every single week of the year. And now and again, I say something. I preach all the time. And now and again, I say something. Because the real preaching is who you are. The real preaching is your own character. The real preaching is when people look at you and say, this is someone different. When I joined the temple, one of the devotees said to me, the real measure that you're a devotee is if you go out into the world without any of these clothes on. I mean, not like normal clothes. If you go out there in normal clothes, with a normal haircut, with a normal, and people still look at you and say, this is someone different. There's something different about the way this person acts, the way this person reacts, the way this person interrelates to people. There's something different. This is definitely a spiritual person. Then you can understand, yes, I'm actually becoming a devotee. Because people, Prabhupada said, how do you know who is a Vaishnava? Prabhupada said, he's a perfect gentleman. So often in Krishna consciousness, we put emphasis on the philosophy, telling people philosophy. But people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. If you're happy and you're kind and you're compassionate, then people will be ready to hear anything. So I personally, from whatever I can say, I feel it's more our own character. And I feel like that even as a kid, when I came to Krishna consciousness and I went to about 3 Bhagavad Gita classes, I was convinced I was a Trivedi now. I knew all the Vedas after going to 3 classes. Therefore, I would go around and preach to everyone. But they say, your character is speaking so loud, I can't hear your words. Very interesting story. Once I was on the distributing books, and one boy came. Anyway, he started firing so many atheistic arguments. Somehow, by Krishna's mercy, that day I was on form. Every argument, bang, bang, bang. I'm being, I promise I'm being humble, but I've defeated every one of his arguments. So he said, well, you defeated me. I said, oh, thank you. I said, so yeah, so it's for you. He goes, no, I don't want the books. I said, no, but I defeated you. He said, yeah, but I don't want the books. I said, oh no. Anyway, then he left. Then 1 hour later, he came walking up the street with all the books in his hand, like this. So he walked up to me. I said, you said you didn't want the books. He said, no, it's amazing philosophy, amazing books, but I didn't want to buy them from you. So instead, I went to your friend down the road because you're arrogant. I said, hey, come on, I'm a nice guy, I promise. And in that moment, I realized character counts for more. The real devotee is the one who has saintly character. So we have to try to develop that. And then Krishna says, Yoga yukto vishuddhatma vijitatma jitendriya sarva bhutatma bhutatma. They're dear to everyone and everyone is dear to them. So I think that's the best way. And then naturally Krishna will give you the intelligence, how to speak to who and say what at what time. Krishna is in your heart. Does that help? Yes. Yes, nice to see you.
Thank you so much for these beautiful answers. I'm just thinking while you're responding, in the process of like aspiring to achieve these different qualities, the same qualities of being kind and compassionate, how can we make sure that we're doing this for Krishna and not for ourselves? Because obviously when we think of ourselves, it's nice to think that, oh, we're a kind person, we're a compassionate person. But in the process, it can become almost selfish instead of selfless.
Thank you. Nice question. So how, when we're trying to cultivate these good qualities, how can we make sure it's not just to make ourselves feel good or make ourselves feel better? How can we actually know? Well, let's just be real. We have to start somewhere. So in the beginning, we are doing it because it makes us feel good. And that's with everything in spiritual life. When we're singing for Krishna, we wish we were only singing for Krishna. But in our mind, we are also thinking, they think I'm a good singer. When we're cooking for Krishna, yes, we wish it was only for Krishna. But we also like a few compliments when the devotees are satisfied. A little bit. When we do any service for Krishna, there is some material motivation that is there. But what does the Bhagavatam say? Akama sarvakamo va mokshakama udariti divrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham padam. Bhakti is so beautiful that even when we try, even though it may be tainted with so much selfishness, still Krishna says, sarvakama, if you're infested with so many selfish considerations, still you'll become purified. So what to do? We have to just begin where we are and do what we can and start with the activities of bhakti, and then gradually what will happen? is that the mentality will also get purified within. Purify your activity, and that purified activity will then lead to a purified mentality. So we try to be kind, try to be humble. It's not so easy to be humble, especially when you're right. And I'm always right. But maybe just try to be humble sometimes. And actually, it's very, very nice. It's very, very beautiful. So, yes, Srila Prabhupada said this movement turns crows into swans. So, yes, we pray for that. We begin where we are. Just try your best. Krishna is very, very kind. Krishna Bada Doya Moy. He's very kind. And he sees that you're trying. And then he helps. And then he'll send others to help you. It's okay. Yes.
Raj, as you know, we're building a new temple, and we have some advice or wisdom on building a community or going for this new temple. So, any kind of insight you can give us on how we can get together.
Wow. It's a big one. Sometimes I give a seminar called The Community of Love. And what I speak about is the first 12 chapters of the Antya Leela of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Because what Mahaprabhu does is he goes to Jagannath Puri and then he says, I'm going to stay here now for the rest of my life. And what he does in those years is he just engages with all the devotees and he builds this incredible community of love. And if you look at every single personality and interaction in the Antya Leela, it gives you a secret as to what really makes a dynamic community. I'll give you some examples. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu interacts with Rupa Goswami, and what really comes out of that interaction is the incredible empowerment that Mahaprabhu has given Rupa Goswami. Rupa Goswami is able to write verses which relate to the world what Mahaprabhu's mind is. Mahaprabhu reads these verses, he looks at Rupa and he said, how did you understand my mind? And Swarup Damodar says, but you empowered him. One of the first major keys in a community is that everyone should feel empowered. Everyone should be given responsibility. Everyone should be given the opportunity to utilize their abilities, their talents. They should be supported and given that scope. Then you really build a community. Community means there must be empowerment. Mahaprabhu looks at Haridas Thakur, and Haridas Thakur is so spiritually accomplished. He's so spiritually absorbed. This also gives us another key as to what really builds a community. When every single individual member of that community is spiritually growing, then it really becomes a community. But if we come back after 10 years and we're not changing, we're not advancing, we're not growing, then it means the community can't really grow. The community grows when each individual is spiritually evolving. Mahaprabhu looks at Raghunath Das Goswami and he says, you're just so detached. You have no concern for money, position, power, prestige, popularity. These things have all become insignificant to you. If you really want to build a community, then it becomes a community when the individuals are not looking for these things, for power, for position, for prestige. They're detached, and everyone is just trying to become a servant. This is the kind of mood that we have to develop in the community. Sanatan Goswami, Mahaprabhu glorifies him, saying, you have incredible culture and etiquette. Because if you remember, Mahaprabhu told him to come for prasadam. And what he did is he went the long route by the Jagannath beach where his feet got completely burnt by the boiling hot sand. And the reason he went that way is he said, because I'm so fallen, I don't want to go past the Jagannath temple because if any of the pujaris touch me, they will become defiled. In his great humility, Sanatan Goswami went all the way around and burnt his feet. Mahaprabhu said, you know culture, you know etiquette. Therefore, there can never be a community if there's not strong culture and there's not strong etiquette in how devotees deal with each other. Therefore, Sanatan Goswami reminds us of that. So like this, if we read this section of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, we understand what it really means to build a community. Krishna gives us so many facilities. By his grace, the devotees work so hard to make that happen. And then our great opportunity is then to fill that facility and really create a community of love. And when we do that, then we fulfill the real purpose of the temples. So yeah, like this, there could be so much to say on that, but these are just some initial principles that Mahaprabhu teaches us through his interactions. Okay, go further. Thanks.
I have a practical question. How do we balance sadhana, which we spoke earlier, sangha, and seva to go spiritually?
Understand that sadhana is a seva that can be done in sangha. We often think of these things as separate. Oh, now what is my time for seva? What is my time for sangha? A lot of these things can be done together. And also a lot of these things, when we do one thing, it's not taking away from the other thing, but it's actually nourishing that other thing. We often think sadhana and seva are separate. Of course, there is practical seva and then there is sadhana, our time with Krishna. But in one sense, sadhana is a service. It's a practical service is things we do for Krishna. Sadhana is a type of service we do to be with Krishna. And so, actually, what should happen in the dynamic life of a devotee is that when your seva is actually done in the spirit of seva, then it will yield a purification and a desire to connect with Krishna more in sadhana. And when you have good sadhana and good character and good consciousness, then naturally you will be drawn to the devotees and the devotees will be drawn to you, and therefore naturally your sangha will become deeper. And therefore these things actually work together. But yes, you have limited time. So what should we do? I don't think there's any formula. Like you have to see what you need at different times in your life. You may need some more sangha. You may need more time to do your sadhana at certain times. You may want at a certain time to just say, this is a time when so much service is needed. So let me put other things and let me do. It's always dynamic. But what we can say is that these are three essential ingredients. If you want khichdi, then you have to have dal, rice, and water. But without those three, there's no khichdi. So in the same way, these three are essential. They feed each other, they combine, and also at different times in our life, we may have to focus on different elements to a different proportion, but with the idea that it contributes and will ultimately help us to be absorbed in the other things. I hope that helps. We have a few more minutes if there are any final burning.
Supplementing her question, between karma and dharma, sometimes one faces conflict. Gita very much explains that, but in today's negotiate and which takes precedence?
Your karma, when you're talking about your karma, I understand you're meaning your job, activities in the world.
Of that particular role which you are at that time.
Right. So in the third canto of the Bhagavatam, there's a verse, Nehayat karma dharmaya na viragaya kalpate tirtapad sevayai jivan api mito hisa. In Kapila Dev's instructions to Devahuti, he gives a hierarchy. He says karma should lead to dharma. And then he says dharma should lead to vairagya. And then he says vairagya should lead to seva. So the idea is that you're doing many karma, you're doing many activities in your life, you're working a job, you have responsibilities. So it's not that those things are taking you away from dharma, but rather it's a way of understanding how can I incorporate dharma into these activities. You have to earn money, but how can you earn money in a dharmic way? You have to be successful in this world, but how can you be successful in a dharmic way? Because after all, what profit a man who gains the whole world but loses his soul? So what the Shastra is saying is that do your karma, but do it in a dharmic way. And then what you'll find is that not only are you successful, but you also have developed your own character and inner peace at the same time. Otherwise, people are successful, but their character goes down the drain and their inner peace flies away. So therefore, karma should lead to dharma. They integrate. But then what Kapila Dev says is that all of your dharma and karma in this world, if it doesn't lead to vairagya, detachment from this world, after some time we should realize there's no happiness in this world. I'm acting in this world to do so many things, but actually this is not where happiness is to be found. That vairagya is the fruit of karma and dharma. But then what Kapila Dev says is that vairagya is also not the end. Because once you realize that there's no happiness in this world, then you have to do seva. Realize, oh, now I know where happiness is. That's from connecting to Krishna. So what Kapila Dev says, he says it in very harsh words. I shouldn't say harsh, heavy words. He says, Jivanapi mrito hi saha. If you don't do this, you're living, but actually you're dead. If your karma doesn't lead to dharma, you're living, but you're dead. If your dharma doesn't lead to vairagya, you're living, but you're dead. And if your vairagya doesn't lead to seva, you're living, but actually you're not really living. Real life is to connect everything to Krishna. But that's a progression. So again, you don't need to see your karma as a diversion, but what you need to do is bring dharma into your karma. Otherwise, if we just earn money and achieve things in this world by very questionable means that then compromise our higher principles, then you might find that in the long run, it doesn't actually bring the happiness that we're looking for. Was that, I don't know if that addresses, did that help? I think we have to conclude here because time moves on and we are also moving on. But very, very happy to be with all of you. Nice to see so many incredible devotees coming to hear about Krishna. We pray that your temple will come up very, very soon and that you will fill it with a community of love. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.